Hi there, my name is Mark Berger. Welcome to part 1 of the educational series, The 7 Secrets of Sales Superstars. So I'd like to share with you a little bit about how I got to this place, how I got to be a top performing sales professional and sales trainer, and what I learned from my journey. Essentially, I've been selling since I was just 21 years old. That was when I sold my very first business plan to a group of people to open a massive entertainment complex in Cape Town way back in the 80s. Since then, I've been privileged to start, build up and sell 3 diverse manufacturing operations. I started a fresh food ice cream company in 1988, built it up and sold it for a tidy profit in 1992. I founded a metal furniture and shop fitting company in 93, built it up and sold it in 96. I founded a home storage system company and sold it. And in each of these businesses, I was always the sales guy. I was the marketer, the entrepreneur. And because the products were very unique, they pretty much sold themselves. And every salesperson wishes they had products that would sell themselves. And because they sold themselves, I did not really have to be great at selling. I think I was good, I must have been, because the companies were successful. But I did not have to be really good. And then what happened, the turning point for me, was in 1996. I started my training company called Mark Berger Training. Now the whole game changed. Because now I was selling an intangible service, not a product. So what I did is I went out and I sold like I had always sold. I made lots of cold calls. I went on tons of appointments. I met customers. And I sent out mountains of quotations. And then I waited. And then I followed up. And guess what? Pretty much nothing happened. I didn't get any bookings. Well, very few. And I had a huge file filled up with quotes pending and very little cash flow. It was scary and frustrating and demotivating. The turning point came in 1997 when I got hold of the first of many sales books that I've read on the art of selling, and it was called How to Master the Art of Selling, written by Tom Hopkins. This book was a revelation for me. I realized that although I had been selling for 15 years, I actually knew very little about the art and science of selling. I realized that selling is not just a job, it is a profession. And I discovered that product knowledge is important, but is only a part of overall sales success. I discovered that the real success comes from knowledge about the process of selling. I learned how to understand buyer behavior. I learned how to establish buying motives. I learned, most importantly, that in the profession of selling, knowledge is power. And I learned that one of the key strategies for sales success is to never stop learning. So the first key point that I want to share with you today is a mindset shift. And the mindset shift is think and act like a professional. Think and act like a professional. Now, many people don't believe that sales is a profession. They think it's just a job. And if you think sales is just a job, you're going to struggle to become truly successful, to become a sales superstar. Once you start to view sales as a profession, then the game changes. And there's a couple of ways that you can view sales as a profession. The first thing to do is to say to yourself, if I look at any professional out there, for example, a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, an architect, these recognized professions, what can I learn from these professions that I can apply to my life as a sales professional? And the first thing that you can understand is that these professions take years and years of study to acquire what we call a body of knowledge in order to go out there and do what they do. Now, you do not have to study for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to become a sales professional, to succeed in selling. However, what I'm going to encourage you to do with a professional mindset is to say, can I learn something new each week, each month that I never knew last week or last month so that I can become better? The second mindset shift of seeing sales as a profession is to say to yourself, who do I look up to? Who's made a difference to the world, who's inspired me, who's been hugely successful, who perhaps I never realized was a salesperson. And I'm going to mention a couple of names and tell you why I look up to these people and why they inspire me. And perhaps you can do the same for yourself. You can think about who inspires you. Just for the purposes of this video, I'm going to talk about very well-known people. I'm going to mention somebody like Richard Branson, the founder of the Virgin Empire. I'm sure you've heard of Richard Branson. Richard Branson started selling at the age of 16. He started selling advertising in a magazine before he founded the Virgin Empire. So he's first and foremost a salesman. You can call him an entrepreneur, but every entrepreneur has to be good at selling. We can talk about Oprah Winfrey, who most people say, Oprah is a talk show host, and she is, and she's good at it. But Oprah had to sell the idea of having a talk show, her own nationally syndicated talk show, to somebody. She had to close the deal. She had to get somebody to buy the concept. I look up to Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft. Bill Gates is a wonderful computer guy, an IT guy, a geek, a boffin, some people will say. But Bill Gates is a true sales professional. He sells the concept of a PC on every desk. He bought DOS back in the early days from another company and sold it to IBM. So he's a salesman. Kim Kardashian, her mom, Kris Jenner, is a great saleswoman. You may not agree with the fact that she sells the concept of her daughters, but look at the results they've got. So when you start adopting this professional mindset, then what you start to realize is that sales is an essential ingredient for success in all areas of life. So for me, all entrepreneurs are salespeople. Either they're good at selling, or they find someone who's good at selling to sell their product or their service. And when you get the professional mindset, you realize that product knowledge about what you're selling, the features, the advantages, the benefits, that's important. But knowledge about the process of selling, about the entire cycle of selling, which begins right from the beginning when people make contact or you make contact and you start getting that commitment to even start engaging with customers, right through the process of questioning and qualifying and probing and then overcoming objections and realizing that there are 8 to 10 different ways to close a deal. And you start to understand and get excited by the fact that there's so much to learn about selling. And each and every little bit of learning helps you to be better, helps you to close more deals. Then you start to think and act like a professional. You start to carry yourself like a professional. You start to dress like a professional. You start to speak like a professional. And what happens is, as your self-respect grows, so does the respect you get from others. These are people who you talk to about this profession of selling. And that's another thing about the mindset of thinking and acting like a professional. Let's say you're at a social event and you're meeting lots of interesting people, and you meet a guy and he says, I'm a pilot. You go, pilot, there's respect. And I'm a doctor. You're a doctor. And I'm a lawyer. And then you go, I'm a rep. I'm in sales. You don't go, I'm a sales pro. I'm a sales guru. I'm a sales executive. I'm a sales superstar. Sales doesn't carry that aura of respect and professionalism like the other professions do. And the question is why? Why doesn't it? If top salespeople have changed our world, and they have, then why doesn't it get the respect? And I'll tell you why. Because most salespeople don't make the time to train themselves enough. They don't. They don't put aside an hour a week to grow their knowledge, because knowledge is power. That's what professionals do. If you think about why they have to study for 3 to 7 years, it's because they want to gather a body of knowledge. If you had to study for 3 to 7 days or 3 to 7 weeks, you'd be miles ahead of your opposition. You'd stop losing business to them because you'd start finding better ways to connect with your customers, because you'd understand the psychology of selling, which is point 2. One more tip that's really useful in terms of thinking and acting like a professional is to look at the characteristics of a professional. I like to think of a doctor, for example. If you think of a doctor, and this applies to any of the professions, but let's just use that as an example. They have specific tools of the trade. You know, you'll know when you walk into a doctor's room and you'll feel comfortable and secure and relaxed and respectful because you'll see they have a stethoscope around their neck and they have a thermometer. Those are their tools. Now, salespeople have tools, and I'm astounded when I find and I meet and I work with salespeople who don't use their tools. For example, one of the sales tools that is essential to being great at sales is a diary. A busy, well-organized diary. Think about a doctor. Think about or a dentist, how long it takes you to get an appointment with a doctor or a dentist, because their diaries are full. Now, if your diary isn't full for a week, 2, 3 weeks from now, with appointments, with follow-ups, with ideas, with tasks, with to-do lists, with planned learnings, if your diary is pretty empty, then it's going to be really hard for you to have the mindset of a professional. You might find that you're struggling in sales. And people say to me, yeah, but I don't really see the need for a diary. And I go, well, do you think Richard Branson's diary is full? Do you think Oprah Winfrey's diary is full? Do you think Bill Gates' diary is full? They're full. And then people say, yeah, their diaries are full because they're famous. And I say, well, the truth is they became famous because they adopted a professional mindset up front. They started to plan their days properly. They started to use their diaries. They started to think ahead and had a vision of where they wanted to be. And that's truly important for you. The second thing about professionals is they're well prepared. You're not going to want to go to a doctor who doesn't wash their hands, put on the proper gloves, sit down in front of you, open your patient file, and start asking you questions. So, are you well prepared? Are you prepared before you go to an appointment? Have you done a bit of research? Have you gone and looked at the customers' websites? Have you made notes? Have you prepared a customer information sheet? Have you printed out a couple of details? This is what professionals do. They're well prepared. The third thing that professionals do is they ask a whole bunch of questions. Lots and lots of questions. Now, a lot of salespeople think that really the customers ask the questions and I answer. That's my job. My job is to tell them about the product, the service, the benefits, why you should buy from us. And actually, telling is not selling. True salespeople learn the value of asking questions. So, for example, you're not going to walk into a doctor and the doctor's going to say, hi, yeah, you don't look great. I think you need a prescription for penicillin. You need antidepressants. You need something or other. They're not going to do that until they first ask a whole lot of questions like, why are you here? Where did the pain start? Have you perhaps eaten something different? Has this happened before? Are you allergic to anything? They have a list of questions. And while they ask the questions, they're making notes of your answers. They have to do this. This is what we need to do as sales professionals. Prepare the questions we're going to ask. We show the customers that we're interested in them. And while we're speaking to them, find ways to make notes. That is what a professional does. Now, again, salespeople say to me, well, it's quite hard to sort of speak to somebody and listen to them and make notes. Maybe it's disrespectful. And I say, no, it's respectful to make notes. It shows them that you're a professional. It's not that you have to write down everything, just the key points, just the key notes. And you can even capture them electronically into a device if you prefer. But that's what professionals do. Professionals use their tools of the trade. So what are the tools of a salesperson's trade? You've got your brochures, you've got your pamphlets, you've got your website, you've got your business card. But those are not really things that excite and delight customers anymore. Customers are more well informed. The kind of tools that you need to think about are your closing skills, your listening skills. You know, you don't have a stethoscope, but you need to have the listening skills. A calculator, for example, it amazes me how few salespeople have a big and an easy-to-use calculator, because we're calculating prices, payment terms, perhaps discounts, volumes. You don't have to have a calculator, but then you need to be able to do the sales maths. You need to know what is 10% of that, what is that divided by 24 months for the payment terms, because that is a tool of the trade. Now, if you're good at the basic maths, you don't need a calculator. If you're not, have a calculator. It's a tool of the trade. Your mouth is a tool of the trade. Your ears are the tool of the trade. And when you get the professional mindset, you resolve to become better at all of this. You resolve to become like a doctor, like a lawyer in the way that you come across, because you want to get that kind of respect from your customers and you want to give that kind of professional service. So this mindset of thinking and acting like a professional, I teach in my program Street Smart Selling Skills. Because any other skill that you're going to learn, any other skill like time management, closing the deal, communication skills, overcoming objections, are not going to be of any benefit to you unless you first adopt this professional mindset to think and act like a professional. Now in video 2, which follows this video, I'm going to share with you 3 more secrets of sales superstars. 3 key secrets that again will help you to accelerate your growth and truly go to a new level in your sales. The first point that I'm going to share with you is to understand the psychology of selling. This doesn't mean that you have to become a psychologist, but I'll share with you that once you get a handle on the conscious and the subconscious mind and the left and the right brain and what is actually happening psychologically in your mind and in the customer's minds, and understanding your customer's belief systems and how to influence their belief systems and get them to buy and close the deal, you'll become much better at selling. The third point I'm going to share with you is how to master all of your sales tools. I touched on it a little bit earlier, for example, when I spoke about the diary. In the next video, I'll go into more detail and show you precisely how to plan your diary, what to put into your diary, how to use recurring appointments, how to schedule your follow-ups, how to plan your cold calling at the right time in order to get yourself a proper sales pipeline. And the fourth secret I'm going to share with you in the second video is how to work smarter and manage your time more effectively. I'm going to talk to you about the difference between the busyness and lots of doing and the business of getting things done. I'm going to talk to you about the difference between the input and the output. And I'm going to share with you the Pareto principle of 80-20, where 20% of what you do leads to 80% of your results. That's powerful. If you get a moment, please put a comment in the comment section below. Keep your comments coming. I really appreciate them, and I will get back to you. If this training has been valuable to you, share it with others using any one of the social media options available. Until next time, go well, sell well. I'll see you on the other side. Thank you. Bye-bye.